Okay, great. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to integrate AI into your workflows. And what I'm going to do is share my personal framework that I'm using to help me navigate this world where AI is becoming the norm and AI is going to be a very big part of our future. So my process involves 5 steps. And the first step is to understand AI, then go into some researching of AI, then observing my personal workflows, experimenting with AI tools, then repeating the first 4 steps. So let's dive deeper into each one of these steps, starting off with understanding AI. With any new technological breakthrough, it will take some time for people to fully understand what it is and what's possible with it. I can imagine when they discovered electricity in the late 1800s, it must have taken some time for people to fully grasp what this concept was and what it meant for them at an individual level and at a societal level. So personally, I've been doing a lot of research into AI and trying to listen to the highest level thinkers that are working on these tools and develop my own framework for understanding what AI is. And so far, this is my personal understanding of AI. So when you look at a tool like ChatGPT, the way I understand it is it's a reasoning engine. So if you look at most software programs that were built in the past, they use a lot of if-then statements. And these if-then statements allow you to build something that can logic, right? And logic is very, very powerful, but it has its limits. The human mind works on logic, but it's not limited just to logic. It has what we call reasoning. And from my understanding, AI is a reasoning engine. It's a tool that can simulate the processes that happen in the brain, right? So it's not constrained just to logic. It also has the ability to reason. So ChatGPT is a reasoning engine. And what this does is we're going into an age where there's a commoditization of intelligence. And what that means is that in the past, if you wanted something that required intellectual power, you needed human beings. You needed human beings that were experienced and knowledgeable within that field. So intellect was a rare commodity, right? So if you wanted to build software, you needed software engineers who knew how to code. But because of AI now, we have this reasoning engine that is able to generate code, that is able to reason through problems and come up with solutions similar to what a coder does. So the commoditization of it is now you can buy intelligence. Instead of buying intelligence through purchasing of human beings, you can buy intelligence through the purchasing of AI. So another thing that AI does is that it reduces the cognitive labor required to complete certain tasks, right? In the past, let's say if you wanted to conduct research, you had to manually read through thousands and thousands of research papers yourself and extract the points that you want. But with AI, you can upload a research paper into an AI engine and then start asking it questions. So what that allows you to do is to save your mental energy for the higher order thinking. Instead of spending hours sifting through papers, now you're really allocating most of your time towards asking the appropriate questions that are most important for your research. So that's the cognitive labor reduction we're talking about. Another thing that it does is it lowers the cost of intelligence. Back to the software developers. If you wanted to build software, maybe you needed 100 software engineers. Maybe now you need 5 software engineers that are using AI. So the cost of intelligence has been lowered because now you can buy this reasoning engine that can help you to fulfill the role of the other 95 developers that you would have needed on your team to complete the project that you're working on. So what AI is doing is giving us more time for higher level thinking, right? Instead of spending hours and hours on mundane things, our minds are freed up to think at a higher level and a higher capacity. It's very similar to, I think, the second and third industrial revolution, where we started introducing machines into agriculture. So instead of us spending hours and hours of physical labor toiling the land, we allocate that hard labor onto machines. And it's kind of the same thing with AI, that we're allocating the difficult tasks onto AI, freeing up our time so that we can think more critically. So the next step in my process for how I integrate AI into my workflows is to research AI, right? And I think there are 3 levels of research that you need to conduct. The first research is this big picture research, where you're looking at AI and trying to grasp what this new innovation, what this new technology is going to do in terms of changing our society, our business, our politics, our environment, our relationships. So essentially what we're trying to do here is try to understand where are we going with AI. what is our future likely to look like? What is likely to change? I think one needs to have this big picture understanding of what AI is doing and how it's going to change our world. Then you can narrow it down to your specific context. And this leads into the next point, which is having some technical understanding of how AI works. I think there are two aspects you can look at, which is the prompting side, and this is focused on how do I actually interact with these AI tools and gain some value. Or you can go a bit deeper and look into LLMs and try and get an understanding of how those work. Personally, I think for most people, understanding prompting will be more valuable than understanding how LLMs work, because it gets really complex, and if you do not have a background in that field, it might not be very useful for you to spend time there. So the next step is to then look at the different tools that are available at your disposal. And the way I do it is I utilize directories, and an example of a directory that I use is Future Tools. This is a aggregation of some of the best AI tools, and it allows you to really drill down into any particular aspect that you are interested in. So if you're into marketing, you can see all the AI marketing tools, music, social media, speech to text, research. So these directories are very powerful in terms of just giving you an understanding of what is out there and what is possible in terms of the different tools. So the next aspect for me in terms of learning these tools is to learn from others. So platforms like YouTube and finding different influencers that are at the forefront of these AI technologies can really help you stay on top of all the AI tools that are available. So once you have a decent understanding of AI and done some research into the different tools that are available, you can go into this process of observing your workflows, which I think is probably the most important step in this whole process. So whenever I sit down to work, I start observing my processes, and the questions that I'm asking myself are, what are the tasks that require a lot of mental energy to complete? And what are the tasks that require a lot of time to complete? What tasks do I procrastinate on? These are the tasks that are highly likely to be amenable to AI. Anything that requires a lot of mental energy, like we said, AI reduces cognitive labor. So this is an opportunity for you to integrate AI. Anything that requires a lot of time, AI is a lot faster than us, right? Anything that you procrastinate on, because it probably requires a lot of mental energy and time, that's what you're procrastinating on. So if you can utilize AI, then it can definitely help you with that particular workflow, right? So then we go into the next step, which is experimenting with AI. So once you've identified the workflows that either cost a lot of time, a lot of energy, or the ones that you procrastinate on, when you encounter that workflow, that's when you want to experiment with AI. So that knowledge of the different tools comes in handy. It's like, okay, I have this particular workflow. I've looked at this particular tool and I think it could be useful for this task that I'm trying to handle. So you then take whatever workflow you're working on and try and solve it with AI. And the key thing here is do not be deterred by poor outcomes. AI is not perfect. AI is not at the level where it can solve all your problems, but it is good enough to solve some of your problems. So from time to time, you might try and solve a workflow with AI and it might not work out, and that's absolutely okay. But most of the time, it will actually work out. You'll see that AI is very useful for that particular task. So do not be deterred, keep going forward. And what you could do is you can actually ask AI to give you feedback on each one of your prompts and let it teach you how to talk to it, how to give it the necessary ingredients for it to be able to help you. So it's like you're prompting its reasoning and its understanding so that you can understand how you need to reason, how you need to feed it information so that it can assist you to the highest level. So finally, the last step in this process is to repeat steps 1 to 4. Learning AI is an iterative process. It's not something that you do once and you complete, because AI advances at an exponential rate. So you need to go through all those steps. And if you keep looping through this process, you'll see that over time, your skills and knowledge of AI will definitely improve. So yeah, that's my framework for understanding AI and just staying on top of this revolution that we're going through. And I hope this was useful. If you want to talk to me, these are my contact details. Feel free to reach out and yeah, we can have a discussion. Cheers.